Hello and welcome to Martinis Eco and Country Bites. Thank you to our farmers and fishermen for feeding the nation. This can't be understated enough. It's something that's been passionate to me for a long time, starting off my segment today, which is Martinis Mini Bites today, because I wanted to do a quick update of the overall what's going on as a trend as I'm seeing it. And certainly the restoration of seeing how vital farmers and our agriculture, not only to our own nation here in Australia, but overseas, there is this growing movement that's starting to really win about coming back to what's real, having connection with the backbone of the nation, which is farmers, agriculture, primary production, manufacturing, coming back to all of that. And what I am seeing right now is that there is a big shift, a big swing back to all of those values, away from this globalist agenda, coming back to looking after ourselves and looking out for our own communities. And I'm starting to see the wheels turn in this, thankfully. And of course, talking about our beautiful farmers, this was a wonderful win in the last week or so where Victoria has backtracked on moving ahead with the emergency levy. Now, this is the interview that I did with Wade from Billboard Battalion and talking about how for some farmers, the increase of this emergency services levy was going to impact farmers by increasing something around to $100,000 a year, and it was going to be collected by rates from the shires. So they've had a massive win there, Victoria. Well done, bravo. That is something that we need to see more of. I am going to share now a little statement from a gentleman here. I believe this is also Victoria, where they had a meeting where a gentleman who I shared this video on my channel, and you may have seen it on a number of social media platforms. His name was Les Marshall, and he spoke out about the way that farmers are being treated. And he said that, especially this is about the solar arrays and the wind farms, that farmers are being forced off their land, pushed to the wall, and so they've got no options. His statement is there are only two types of people that are associated with these renewables rushes: the one who makes the money out of it, and the ones who have to live beside it, and nobody cares about the latter. Les, I think that's very powerful words, and I think that it does definitely reflect how we see things going as well in our coastal regions, where they're trying to move ahead with offshore wind turbines after the announcement from, what's his name, Bowen? Blackout or something, isn't he? Something like that. He has announced a number of preliminary licenses as well as licenses. Now, one of those was to Equinor. Remember that name, because with all of these communities starting to push back now, this is another thing. The election, the fraud, the lies, the manipulation by government, false promises that were never followed through. So now there's a whole bunch of high court actions against the government for lies and deception. Again, this is coming back to how I see this reuniting of community and people standing up for what is right and certainly standing in their power. With the offshore wind, it seems more and more that the global communities are not only communicating more, but they're certainly helping bring a sense of empowerment and unity because, as I said, Equinor were one of those that were handed a license for the Bunbury offshore region. I am just going to share some information here about how that's going in the US, because at the moment they are looking at a lawsuit where they are in violation of the Marine Mammal Protection Act. There are groups all around the world that are now saying the impact of offshore wind is causing a huge increase in whale and cetacean death, including dolphins and porpoise. This is the statistic that I have shared previously. Here, we're in the UK. The latest data is showing that 5,000 whales, dolphins, and porpoises have died in UK waters in the last 5 years. The increase in this cannot be denied anymore. It's time for people to start to look at the real science, the real data of things, and know that there's been a huge cover up, not only just in the US, but by other nations, because they wanted to fast track this through. So, Empire Wind in the US is where the group action is coming from. And of course, that is Equinor. Equinor is a huge oil and gas corporation from Norway. So a Norwegian company, just like we have another German company here in Western Australia that's going to be looking at putting offshore wind right in the middle of a whale birthing zone and nursery. They're being held accountable, and this is where I see that there is a massive shift in power now. Something that hasn't really happened before in the last, or at least 10 years that I can see, because it seems this wind mafia has been able to steamroll and manipulate not only the narrative, the science, and the thinking behind this is clean and green when it's certainly not. I am seeing a massive shift, and it's making the cockles of my heart smile because it's well overdue. The one thing that got discussed last night very quickly in the Gale Force Fight interview that was done with the lovely Robin from Courage is the Cure. At the very end of the interview, we talked about why is there such an attack in the oceans. And this is where I guess people go, oh, this is woo-woo. And I'm one for joining dots for people. For some time now, we've seen people that want to identify as women going into women's sports and the women's arena of everything, including toilets and places where there should be some kind of respect for the privacy of women, where they should feel safe, and it hasn't been that way. And last night on that conversation with Robin from Courage Secure, what came up is why are we attacking whales? Why are we allowing this? And as I mentioned, in ancient cultures all over the world, whales are revered for not only their breaching the boundaries of not just the healing of the planet, but cosmically. They have a reverence in ancient culture that they are the ones that keep balance on the planet, that their whale songs create the song lines and are responsible for connection of humanity and healing in all that is divine, natural. And of course, they're dominated by a matriarchal system. And what came out of the conversation last night with Robin was that it's quite clear there has been an attack on the sacred feminine. Certainly the male as well, energy, the protective masculine energy, which is not toxic. The masculine energy what wants to protect its family and its children, not be separated from them, and the agendas of no longer having communities that work on site, have them away from their families so they don't feel strong. They think the finances is what makes families strong when we know that's entirely false. So all I can say is that for all of those communities that have been concerned, worried, disturbed even, that this global agenda is still rolling out at the strength that it was, I disagree. I think that the people are starting to stand up, and all I can say is you need to make your voices and communities united and heard. So this is a quick sign off from me now. Thank you for all the support from not only my community down here at Save Our Beloved Geograph Bay and WA Southwest, all throughout WA and Australia and overseas for your support. And I wish you all the best. And I will be back next week with some amazing interviews with remarkable people that are out there changing the world. We all have that power. It's just knowing how to flex that muscle, and certainly going to the High Court with a lot of these actions, because it takes it out of corporate jurisdiction and into constitutional jurisdiction, which is what it's all about. Wishing you all the best and have a lovely weekend.